Today's episode of Lions of Liberty is brought to you by The System is Down, a great podcast produced and hosted by fan and friend of the show, Dan Smots. Dan's goal with The System is Down is to change the world one uncomfortable conversation at a time, and he does that each and every Monday as he hosts civil debates and discussions on politics, religion, conspiracies, and everything in between. He's had on many guests familiar to fans of this show, including Scott Horton, Jason Stapleton, Roger Paxton, Remzo Martinez, as well as all three hosts of this program, Brian Odie and myself, Mark Claire. Dan also hosts a weekly news program called The Anti-News every Tuesday, and one thing I love about this show is how much Dan goes out of his way to interact with his fans. He really helps to show you that the person you disagree with online is not your enemy. So question everything and stay uncomfortable with The System is Down. Find it on iTunes, Stitcher, and everywhere you find podcasts, as well as over at tsidpod.com.
Welcome to the Lions of Liberty podcast. Here's your host, your guide, your shining beacon of liberty, Mark Claire.
Welcome to the Lions of Liberty podcast, the best podcast ever in the history of the internet that is related to libertarian values and sometimes has ridiculous shows like this with 6 people on one show who are about to do a little something called the Liberty Draft. That is right. It is the Liberty Draft returning today here on another edition of Libertarians in Living Rooms Drinking Liquor. To new people that are just tuning in, they're probably very confused because I've already named 3 separate names of the show. But every single Monday, I bring you roundtables, fun discussions like the one you're going to hear today, as well as interviews with leaders in the libertarian movement. And I will now bring in another host on this podcast, Mr. Brian McWilliams, who not only lives just outside of the city of LA now in Hawthorne, California, but he is also the host of our Wednesday program, his weekly look at comedy, culture, and liberty, Electric Liberty Land. Brian, how are you?
I'm great. As you said, I've said it before, but I live in Maxine Waters land now down in Hawthorne.
You already did. That's what I'm confused about because she's my rep too. So I don't think anything changed.
What? I don't think that's true.
You don't understand. You thought Mike Bonin was your old rep.
No. He was my city councilman.
I know, but that's what you thought on the old show because you don't know.
I don't know. I was welcomed. I literally get Maxine Waters mailers in my mailbox now. I never had that pleasure before.
It's weird because the reps are not related to you're outside of LA, I'm in LA, but she's both a rep. The rep is just the drawn district of whatever. But whatever.
Gerrymandering is what it is.
You don't rep me.
I don't know what we're doing.
You already took your sweater off. I know. You don't know what we're doing. We're doing Libertarians in Living Rooms Drinking Liquor. We're drinking and talking and seeing where it goes. Next up, I'm going to bring in the host of our Friday program. He was actually the very controversial winner of the vote for last year's Liberty Draft for many reasons that we may or may not get into on the show today. He is the host of Felony Friday, as I mentioned, Mr. John Odermatt. What's up, Odie?
I think we have a different recollection. I remember a nice, clean, fair vote that had zero controversy. I don't remember any of this rigging that people talk about or buying votes with hats and things like that. I have no recollection of any of that. But speaking of hats, Mark, I noticed you're wearing a backwards hat today, which I started a trend on Lions of Liberty last week on my Felony Friday show.
I just didn't feel like having my hair all in front of my face today.
I don't ever have that issue.
No, you don't.
I do have crazy eyebrow hairs, though, that sometimes get in my
vision.
You
do blind people when you walk in the street and the sun shines into their eyes off your head, though.
I try to. And then that's why what I do is I combine with Rico and we walk around Los Angeles. I blind people with the light off my head and then he chases down the ambulance and we make a killing.
Fun. Before I forget to do this with everybody else already, I am currently drinking a wonderful concoction of warm cider and rum, spiced rum, Sailor Jerry's. Indeed. Brian, what are you drinking over there? I just saw a beer, it looked like.
I'm drinking a Paulaner Oktoberfest that's left over from Oktoberfest and also some Bullet Rye.
I just saw you bump your mic. In the olden days, I would have blamed Howie for that automatically before we did video.
Motherfuckers.
And there's Howie.
Touch it, baby.
Howie, before I get to you, Odie, what are you drinking?
Drinking some Dirt Wolf IPA.
Ooh.
And
it's got a cool can.
It's a really cool can. It kind of tastes like shit, though.
Which you can see if you join our Patreon for as little as $10 a month for video content.
All IPAs taste like shit, Odie.
But it's 8.7% alcohol.
Well, that's good. But they all have fancy cans. You know why? Because people who drink IPAs are stupid and they're just ghosts. That's why.
What's your favorite style?
And there's JB.
Doggy.
Yeah? Well, fair enough. That was good.
Reverse cowgirl.
Walk
Okay.
right into that one.
Next up, well, fuck it. I don't know. I was going to bring in Howie, but now JB's talked, so I have to tell people who he is. JB, welcome. Howie, also welcome.
Thank
Rico's
you.
finishing pizza, so we'll get to him in a minute.
Thanks to be on. Thanks to be the expansion city in the league, Liberty League here.
Yes, as we'll get to. The previous drafts were just the four of us, myself, Brian, Odie, and Rico, but we are now expanding the draft this year, and it's very exciting to have you guys on. I know you probably felt very
I think it was the Rooney rule that got you into the draft.
I think so.
I didn't think that worked for owners, but okay.
we had to at least interview one potential blackout.
I'm not a sports person, so I don't know what that means at all.
Well,
The Rooney
Like
Rule.
affirmative action for football coaches.
It's the rule in the NFL that they must interview a minority coach when filling a head coach position. They don't have to hire them. They just have to interview them, which creates a really weird situation where
bullshit.
often many unqualified coaches come for interviews where everyone knows they're not going to get the job just to fill this rule. And it's quite frankly demeaning, actually. And then there's one time this guy went for this interview with this team that everyone assumed was the Rooney Rule and that he would not get hired, but then he was hired. His name was Hugh Jackson.
I thought you were talking about Todd Bowles because
I thought you were
And
talking
that
about
was also Todd Bowles, yes.
Hugh Jackson, isn't that Wolverine?
Well, they both
I would have way rather had the Wolverine.
I'd say they both let the franchise down. Hugh Jackman and Hugh Jackson.
Hugh Jackman is as qualified, if not more so, than Condoleezza Rice to run the Browns. So it's not that crazy.
At least he can sing. At least he can entertain the Browns fans when the season's going down the shitter.
All right, what are you folks drinking? I think I saw some wine there, JB. I
wine.
just saw some,
It's
something being
in like
exhaled.
one of those Belgian glasses. It's a brown ale. It's from
I see.
Kona, coconut brown ale. So basically wine. And
Cool.
I got some Balvenie here, some triple cast. Of
course.
a little stiffer on the side.
Yeah, you do.
Nice.
Howie, what about you?
Hey, Lions, happy to see you again. Anyways, I have a few things to
No,
say
you're
already.
not.
A few things to say. We haven't
Few
even,
things to say already.
formally introduced Rico, but go on.
So Brian brought up Maxine Waters. I was a congressional page back in the 90s.
Ooh,
and
story time.
She was a fucking insane loon back then, too. But I'll tell you what. I disagree with Nancy Pelosi and everything she ever says, but she was very nice to me as a page. So, you know what? I support Donald Trump and backing her for Speaker of the House. Anyways, I agree with Brian saying that IPAs are trash. I hate them. I don't drink them. What I am drinking right now is Founder's Backwoods Bastard, which is aged in oak bourbon barrels.
Ooh,
I love everything
delicious.
that's aged in bourbon. Even back in the day when I used to dip, I liked the Copenhagen Black, the like bourbon flavored Coke. Right. All right, let's get this going.
All right, and we will lastly, now that he's finishing up his meal, the man that referenced the Rooney Rule, Liberty Rico.
Hey, fellas. Good to see you.
Anything to add to this conversation? What do you?
Eloquent as always.
I also don't like IPAs, and I believe I had a drunken discussion with Brian where we both bitched about them for quite a long time.
That sounds riveting. Did you record it?
Probably have more than once.
Hold on, Mark.
What?
Do you or JB like IPAs? Is Odie the only one?
I
that
don't like
likes them?
IPAs. Not really. No. I mean,
I like all beer. Pretty
Yeah,
much.
I've gotten used to them. Like
I'll
I
drink
said,
one
it's like
sometimes,
3/4 of the beers that I'm offered. So I've grown to like
I want to
acquired
know
taste.
what hipster bars JB goes to where they have 15 IPAs on tap. And
Well, come to Philly and I'll show you.
That's the same in Pittsburgh
And
It's
LA.
Basically the same thing.
So 4 out of 6 Lions of Liberty thinks IPAs are trash.
Yeah, I guess so.
Put it on a
maybe
label.
we'll do
I
a,
don't have
a
the same
vote.
vitriol against them. I just don't really like most of them.
Yeah, they give
Well,
me heartburn.
in
I don't
fairness,
like
in
those.
fairness, you guys, not Howie, but Brian, Rico, and Mark generally drink like Bud Light, correct?
No.
What do you generally drink?
At home, I drink good beer, but if I go out, I'm drinking Bud Light because it's cheap and it's easy, and I can drink a lot of it over a long period. I don't. After 2 beers, I'm not like I want to scrub the inside of my mouth out with a toilet brush to get the worst flavor of IPA dog shit out of my mouth.
And those heavy beers just fill me up too fast. That's why I gotta drink liquor, and I have some Modelo's here on backup. I need a light beer that I can just drink a lot of.
Exactly. I need a palate
I
cleanser.
listen to you guys. You kidding me?
After I finish multiple giant glasses of wine, I'm going to switch to Duval, which is also a high alcohol percent beer, but not a hipster IPA.
Fancy
much
Rico.
Isn't that from
So I'm-
Quebec?
I'm
That's
not
Belgian, right? That's a Belgian beer.
Yeah.
I'm not drinking a hipster IPA, but this Founder's Backwoods Bastard, it's 11%. I think it's pretty good.
How many did you have before the show, Howie? That's what I want to know.
I know you wanted me to not drink till the show.
Let's do an over/under. Let's do an over/under.
I'm gonna say. Ooh, 3 was what I was gonna say. So I'm gonna say over, but I'm not. It could be 1. It could be 3 exactly.
I'm gonna say over.
Anybody else? JB, just degenerate gambler segment now.
What's that?
I'm going to say, yeah, he's finishing his third.
Third beer.
Well, that's not really. Then you would call a push there or whatever. Whatever.
I'm going to say.
I'm calling a push.
At least I'm going to say a good 4.
JB, what'd you say?
No, you lost me. What?
How many beers
Okay.
has Howie had before the show?
Oh.
Over, under 3.
Howie was trying.
I'll
not
take
to
the
drink,
over.
but he failed.
All right, it's time for the big reveal. Drum roll, please. Howie, how many beers did you have before the show?
I have drank 4 fountains.
Yeah!
I think Brian wins, right?
Well, I said
won.
over too. I also said over.
We all
Can we do another over-under real quick?
Didn't Brian say 4?
I got
said
it on the notes,
over.
but it was just over under.
Everyone
said
said
over.
over. So we all said everyone said
But he said the exact number.
that wasn't the game. Can't run a game you ain't playing. It wasn't Price is Right. It was over under.
Over-under, how many minutes? 20 minutes till Howie becomes obnoxious and doesn't stop talking.
It already started.
I say 20.
Right. Well, it's 0.
Under.
That was
That's a trick. It was from the beginning.
All right, let's do some drafts. Somebody edit in some, like, music. Let's get some like NFL music edited in here and shit.
Sean Hannity breaking news.
Oh, that would be a good one to use. I will use that.
We got a huge show tonight.
We got a big show tonight. Should I chat
Breaking
it up with
news.
Tucker
Tom
Carlson?
Woods arrested for sodomy in Maine.
That may or may not be a
He's
real
on the
headline.
commissioner's exemplance.
All right, let me just try to quickly sum up what the Liberty Draft is. I will link to all our past Liberty Draft shows in today's show notes, which you can find over at lionsofliberty.com/377. I had to double check that one real quick. Well, whatever. I had to deal with you guys for 25 minutes before we even got into this thing. So lionsofliberty.com/377, because this is indeed the 377th edition of this podcast. And before we jump into this stuff, I just want to remind you guys very quickly that if you are looking for an alternative to your healthcare, please do head over to lionsofliberty.com/health right now. Pause the podcast and read up a little bit about Health Excellence Plus, an awesome free market solution to your healthcare woes. You can learn more there. Just a quick little mention, not even a real ad. You won't even remember it happened. Although I do want you to remember it happened, because that's the whole point of an ad. So lionsofliberty.com/health. Check it out. I'm actually going to be doing a brief extra interview with Jeff Canner, who is my representative over at Health Excellence Plus, that I'll put out next week to explain a little bit more about the program in a very digestible format. So look forward to that. And now that has been said and done, the business is over. We get into the fun, which is the Liberty Draft. Now, 2 years ago, in 2016, shortly after the Libertarian Party convention, came up with this idea to do a sort of Libertarian fantasy draft, looking at the year 2020, since there will be a presidential campaign, there will be a Libertarian ticket, and there will be people talking about all of these ideas. So the concept is to form a basically a Liberty propaganda / politics team with your eyes on that year. So basically, we did a whole entire draft, and we came up with a team. We had to assign them certain positions. I believe the final positions that we have to fill are a Libertarian presidential candidate, a Libertarian vice presidential candidate, a YouTube star, a male mainstream media star, a female mainstream media star, and a podcast host. Those are 6 positions. We ended up drafting 10 total, so the other 4 are sort of utility spots, bench spots, whatever you want to call them. And that will be the draft. Now, we're not going to do this all today. It's way too much to fit into one show. And in fact, I think this time I'm going to make the Liberty Draft something we just sort of revisit in various shows every month or so. And we'll do a couple rounds of drafting and kind of keep it going that way, make it more of a regular feature, culminating sometime next year. And then we'll be able to spend that next year sort of just looking at the results as they sort of unfold real time, as we see who runs for president, who gains different positions, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the crux of the draft. And I think the first thing we should do is, we'll recap last year's vote. We did do a vote after a little bit of a redrafting, a little bit of a resorting of the teams. And as I mentioned earlier, the winner of that vote was, in fact, John Odermatt and his team. Make Liberty great again.
Boo, never mattered. Bullshit. By the way, this is a very cis norm draft spots we've got, by the way. I'm just throwing it out there.
Talk more about Brian's wardrobe. I like his V-necks.
Standard,
I didn't understand that either.
standard gender roles, male, female.
Oh,
Who are you, the Pope?
Sort of. Anyway, you guys should
Pope
all.
fair enough.
I don't know. Maybe it's not.
And so, Odie, what I want you to do is just briefly recap. You should have that document in front of you. Your current team as it stands. Now, what we're going to do, the first segment of this, we're going to go through our teams, just do a quick recap of them, and we're all going to select keepers. Basically, what we're going to do is we're going to select 2 people in the round that they're slotted from each team to keep going into this next year. After that, our new teams, led by Howie and JB, will have a little supplemental draft, and then we'll all kind of be on even footing. We'll all be starting this draft with two big names or whatever names we decide to keep, and then that is how we will proceed going forward when we do the next draft show. But I think that's what we'll get through today, is just naming our keepers and going through JB and Howie's picks and seeing where we're all landing going into the next show. So, Odie, why don't you take the reins here? Tell us a little bit about the team you rounded up with and their positions on Make Liberty Great Again.
Am I going to name my keepers like right after this, or is that?
We could do it all now for the sake of brevity, I guess.
Yeah,
if we want. May as well. Sure. Why don't you go through your team, name who you're keeping, and why? How about that?
All right. So
we did say we were going to do it like snake draft style, but I think there's no reason to just not name both your keepers at once. Really, now that I think about it,
Yeah, I don't see any reason not
there's
to.
not. So do it.
All right, so I kicked off the draft last year by picking Mr. Larry Sharp, and this was before he announced his run for governor. And in fact, he told me at the Libertarian National Convention that the reason he decided to run for governor was because he was picked in the first round of the Liberty draft to make Liberty great again. That's a fact. He actually said that. I don't know if it's true or not. Second, I picked Jason Stapleton. He was my MSM selection for the male variety, and since that time, Jason has moved to LA, and he's been slumming it up with Brian and Mark. So I don't know if I can keep him on my team anymore.
He wanted to hang out with me tonight. How about that?
Well, how about that? He probably just wanted to wear a sweater with you, or maybe a cardigan.
I did get one big sweater that said J plus B forever on it, but
that sweater you had on earlier tonight was ridiculous.
Good commentary. Okay. Next up, Austin Peterson. I got AP in a trade with Brian. I don't remember exactly what it was. Was that Judge Knapp?
You did not. You got him in a trade with me.
I believe I traded Judge Knapp to you for Peterson, and I think I made out like
no. I
don't have Austin Peterson and never did.
I traded Glenn Jacobs for Austin Peterson, and then I traded Knapp for Scott Horton. So
that's right.
Okay, so I got Peterson. Lily Tang Williams ran for Senate in 2016 on the Libertarian Party ticket. Kristen Tate, my mainstream media female voice, who she's still consistently on, so that was a very good pick. Consistently on Fox News and all that crap, Fox Business. Scott Horton, got him in the trade, of course, we just talked about, my foreign policy advisor. He's been very instrumental in talking with Larry Sharp about foreign policy as Larry Sharp prepares for his presidential run that nobody knows about except for me. And James Altucher has been a bit of a disappointment. I've actually stopped listening to his podcast generally. And he's really not a libertarian.
It's all just slinging Bitcoin and scamming people to sign up for newsletters to get stock tips.
He sends out so many goddamn newsletters. I
guess I know Brian's keepers because he just highlighted two people in the document.
You guys, I usually forward you guys the Agora financial.
Howie, let me finish this. I'm almost through this. Then I picked in our second round, I picked Michael Heiss. This was right after Michael had started, or right when the Mises Caucus was starting to take off and gain some steam. And he saw that through. That had a big impact at the LNC convention. Unfortunately, did not have the result we had hoped for. But in hindsight, I'm not sure it was a bad result. Next up, Bob Murphy. He's my VP pick. And, of course, everyone knows Bob Murphy. Contra Krugman knows absolutely everything.
Podcast guest.
Yes, just on, 3-4 episodes ago on Mark's show. Fantastic show there, by the way. And Dan Johnson from We Do Better and 17 other charities or organizations that he's founded.
He suckered me into giving him money monthly for that at the LNC. We spent like 20 minutes talking about it. Then he's like, well, since you love it so much, you'd love to donate monthly, right? I was like, ooh, got me.
He's good. He's very good.
He's a great guy.
I don't know how because I don't think he has like another job. I think he does this stuff full time. I don't know how he survives, but he does. So out of all these people, my keepers, this might surprise people. Maybe it won't, but I'm going to keep Larry Sharp. And you might think I'm going to keep Jason Stapleton or Austin Peterson.
Well, I want to emphasize, just so everyone knows, and we all know the rules here, whoever you keep, as in a regular fantasy draft, that person is tied to the round that you kept them in. So whoever you keep, you're essentially forfeiting doing a first-round draft pick by keeping Larry Sharp.
I am. Indeed, I am.
Just so we all know.
So I'm forfeiting my first-round pick, keeping Larry Sharp. And you might think, oh, keep Jason Stapleton. He's got a great show, blah, blah, blah. He's best friends with Brian and Mark, great guy, Taco Tuesday, whatever. No, I can't give up that second-round pick. I need that second-round pick after giving up the first-round pick. I like Jason Stapleton, but I can't keep him. I'm going to keep Scott Horton. I'm going to keep him in my back pocket.
He's a seventh rounder, I believe. No,
yeah, he's a strong player. It's good keeper value.
Sixth.
And
God damn it, that's exactly who
Larry
I
Oh, well,
Scott.
that's
Picked him
actually
up late. Good
That's
job.
exactly who I wanted.
Actually, this brings up a first point of controversy, actually.
This is round 2 on it. So he was
he was actually so this is something that I hadn't thought of. He was a second round pick originally via Brian, and then you traded your sixth round pick,
right,
which is
Scott's
why he
his
ended up in
second-round
that
pick
spot.
now, and Judge Knapp's my 6th round pick, so the value of Judge Knapp is better for me.
No, Judge Knapp was my 6th round pick.
Yeah,
Right.
and I get him as
Essentially,
the 6th
what this is highlighting is how much of a better drafter I am than you.
Yeah, well, basically, and
True.
well, hey, I'm making out like a bandit now. Who you should have thought ahead.
This is actually
So
turning into a draft. Like the
We have to come up with a ruling here because he was a second round pick, Scott Horton. So we have to
Yeah,
decide.
he's a keeper. You keep him in the round he was drafted in, so he's a 2nd round pick.
Yeah, that's how it would typically go. Of course,
That is.
We're gonna-
So
Give him
Okay,
up.
so-
Give him up.
Odie doesn't
I'm
understand
still going to
drafts,
keep.
or
You know what?
We've already
No, I can't give up my first and second round pick.
He's tossing it back into the pool.
I'm tossing Scott Horton. I might pick him in the second round. Who knows? But I can't. We'll see what's on the board.
Maybe
My
I'll
pick
take
comes
him
up,
in
but
the
I'm going
second
to
round
keep.
now. I'll get him right back.
I'm going to keep Bob Murphy.
in the 9th round, okay, that's
That's
the
a good
value.
idea because Bob Murphy's got his own podcast now too. He's improved his stature.
He could even be your podcast host.
He could be. He might be.
All right. So to recap, Make Liberty Great Again, led by the corrupt and cheating John Odermatt, is led once again by Larry Sharp with a first round keeper pick and Bob Murphy, the 9th round. Good value there. So we will move on. We're going to do this in reverse order of finish, which brings my team up next. And I've changed my team name. It was Liberty Ass Pumpkins. It is now Hellfire and Liberty, which probably gives away one of my keepers. So we'll get into that as I go. But I'm going to recap the whole team real quick. My first round pick was Tom Woods. I made him my presidential candidate. He was not originally, but I got a lot of bad feedback. I originally had Vince Vaughn at the top of the ticket for the attention. It made Libertarians very angry. So I shifted, I adjusted, I listened to the market. Tom Woods was my POTUS pick, and by the end of things. So that's what got me a very close second. What I would argue a real life first place, considering all the corruption again with Odie's voting process.
Unbelievable.
And my second rounder is Vince Vaughn, who I chose. I made him my mainstream media male. Decided I was going to give him a late night political talk show, and it's going to be awesome. I have Glenn Jacobs, who I did acquire in the trade 3rd round for 3rd round. So there's no controversy there with Austin Peterson. So that is why I have Glenn Jacobs in my VP slot. In round 4, I have Julie Borowski. She was my YouTube star. Round 5, I have Dave Smith, host of Part of the Problem, recent Electric Liberty Land guest, as my podcast host. Around 6, I have Eric July. We all know what he does, backwards and all that great stuff. In the supplemental rounds, I got John McAfee in round 7. Mary Ruart is my female. Mary Ruart is my female mainstream media host, hosting an Ellen-esque libertarian talk show. And then I have Robin Kerner in round 9 is my political strategist, and Johnny Rocket Adams. I guess he's another podcast host in round 10. I had him as. So that's my team. And my keepers, it took a lot of thought because especially in fantasy drafts, I really like to, in fantasy football drafts normally, I like to keep guys in later rounds that have, the most value. I can get more value out of and keeping my top picks open. But I really don't think, especially seeing as Odie picked Larry Sharp and kept him with his first rounder, I don't think I can let my number one draft pick go into this pool. He could be scooped up by Howie or JB easily, and I think he's too important to the crux and foundation of my team. So I am going to be keeping Tom Woods as my POTUS pick, or I may change his position, but I am keeping Tom Woods. That will take up my first round spot. And by the name of my team, you can see I'm also going to keep the big red machine, Kane
Son of a bitch.
Jacobs, with that third round pick. And I got to say, if talking about stock going up, stock going down, I mean, if anybody's stock has gone up, actually, especially looking at that trade with Austin Peterson.
Jacobs out of office?
No, I'm not going to pull him. I didn't say I had to pull him out of office.
I know you're making a big deal about that.
Yeah, no, you are going to pull him out of office if you're going to make him
you don't know what I'm going to make him yet.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know what I'm going to make him yet. We shall see. Is there precedent? Can a mayor run on a libertarian ticket? I don't know. Maybe he can. Maybe he can't. But I'm keeping him in the third round either way because I think he's a very important part of the team, especially considering by that point he will be a very successful 2-term or half a term or whatever libertarian mayor. Anyway, those are my keepers, which is very sad because I really was tempted to keep Dave Smith in the 6th, Eric July in the 7th. I think those are great values. But at the end of the day, I think that Woods and Jacobs are such solid figures in terms of liberty, their ability to communicate the ideas, and especially with Glenn Jacobs, his mainstream sort of appeal. I couldn't let either of them go back. So those are my keepers, which means everyone else is back.
You didn't want to keep John McAfee after his racist Twitter rant? Yeah, I can't talk. Racist Twitter rant that he had.
What was it against his wife? Really. He's a black wife. What did he say on?
I forget what he said.
It was talking about black culture being about not having kids or something.
I feel like I know where he was going with it, but he needed a second tweet, which he
hey. Sometimes when you do a lot of cocaine,
it was Thanksgiving Friday night, so he was probably under the influence.
Yeah, I could tell the direction he was trying to go in, but it came off really bad.
Yes. So that's my story. Those
I
are my
wish
guys.
I could comment on this, but I have no idea what you're talking about.
Probably for the best, JB.
All right,
Probably for the best. Okay.
Am I doing my team?
You may as well. I already know your keepers because I can see them.
Yeah, I know. Well, the other people can't see the screen, so I might as well add it on the podcast.
May as well.
All right. So my team, formerly called the Trumpelstiltskins, now called Wake Up Punchy.
Took my name.
All right. So in round 1, I took John Stossel, who then went on to, at the time, he had a show, or he was doing his stuff for Fox News. Then right after the draft, he left Fox to go to Reason, which was, in my opinion, even though it's more libertarian aligned, a step down as far as actual viewership and influence. So that was disappointing. But he was my first round pick. I put him in a VP spot. Round 2 was Scott Horton, as previously discussed. Now I have Judge Knapp, who will be my round 6. Great value there because Judge Knapp is still on. And Judge Knapp also, right after I traded for him, also was like demoted from Fox News. So I had 2 people who immediately lost their positions. But now he is back and he is bad.
I think he was demoted actually during the trade when we were talking about
He's
it.
deleting my shit. I need to see that.
I was moving yourself, but I put it back because I wanted him to
stop that.
Well, you just got to move. Make sure you move him to your round 6 spot when we're done.
Yeah, I know how the game's played. Okay. So anyway, Judge Knapp is now a round 6 pick. Kennedy was my mainstream media female host. She is still doing awesome work over at Fox Business, and also is there. She does all of their election coverage, which is great. Nick Gillespie was in round 4 as my press secretary. I will be dropping him like a hot turd in the toilet because that motherfucker, man, pissed me off. He was on, I think, Dave Smith's podcast and just was the most statist fucker I've ever heard.
He's the worst.
Ever. More status than Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, he's crazy status. Ridiculous. So he's getting dropped. Flush that turd down the toilet. Roger Paxton, I didn't have a position for him, so I put him in Cuddly Bear in Chief, but he was my round 5 pick.
Roger Paxton.
Are you a slave? I just needed somebody. Chief, are you a slave caller?
Are you a slave, Brian?
Are you a slave, Brian? Jeff Deist was my speechwriter / chief of staff in round 6, originally round 6. Round 7, the Dave's Rubens podcast, who Dave is still a good voice for liberty, even though he doesn't purely identify as libertarian.
I liked what he was saying about Laura Loomer yesterday.
I didn't hear him talk about Laura Loomer. But anyway.
It's so funny that she got banned from Twitter. Now she's number 1 trending thing on Twitter.
I don't even know who she is.
By the time he drafts, I can't wait.
Yeah, I have no idea. No.
All right, let's move on.
Round 8. Just
I like how he
interrupting
interrupts
me,
and then
goddammit,
says we have to
Howie.
move on.
Fly to fucking Scranton and punch you in the throat. All right, Justin Amash. He was my POTUS pick, but as Mark was crying about, I was going to take him out of the house.
I'm not crying about it. You got to know that that's what you're doing. That's fine. You want to remove the most libertarian congressman? That's up to you.
Yeah, if he's going to be president of the United goddamn States.
Isn't Massey
'cause
the most libertarian congressman?
No.
He's
Oh,
more
no, you're right.
libertarian
He is a
than
congressman.
Amash.
Massey.
He's more libertarian than Amash.
I don't know if he is. That would be a good that'd be a good
debate.
show episode for somebody.
I'd have to really look at both what they both were saying. I mean, they're both pretty damn libertarian. I don't know who. I'd have to see exactly what they said.
I think I like Massey a little bit more.
I love them both, and Massey's better.
Because Massey is sassy, and I like that.
Yep, that's exactly right.
Well, Amash likes squash. All right, moving on. Round 9, Joe Rogan, who Joe's gotten a little less libertarian, I think, over the past couple of years. So again, I'm going to drop him. And then Owen Benjamin, who I do love, who was very libertarian, but he says some crazy shit.
Call him very libertarian. He's a big supporter of the wars and building walls and things like that. So
Yeah,
I didn't realize how alt-right.
Well, that's why I'm not keeping him.
Alt-right.
Yeah,
Your team
Owen
name should be the Proud Boys.
Brian is a Proud Boy.
I'll
Proud
draft
Boy.
Gavin. I'll draft Gavin McGinnis, number 1.
Just draft all alt-right, like Milo, Proud Boy, Gavin.
Can I draft Laura Loomer?
John Odermatt's haircut.
You can, yeah.
What about Chris Spangle? He might
You
be
can
my
draft
first pick.
anybody you want.
All right,
I think my first pick will probably be Chris Spangle.
So now I'm clearing out my team.
Howie's
All
best
done.
Okay.
Rico's reading text messages here, just laughing to himself.
Things are clearing up.
All right,
And,
old cheating Rico pulling fucking shady bullshit during the
All right,
draft
now-
and doubling up on picks.
What? Sorry, I learned to hack the draft every year. I'm just smarter than everyone.
I have to announce there are a couple of new rules this year, which will become relevant very
Rico
soon.
is smart picking me.
What? Yeah. And then we have to handle this because last year we didn't let other owners be drafted, which is why Howie could be drafted. But Howie is on Rico's team right now. Do we let him stay in the pool? Can we draft each other? Can we do that? We haven't really addressed
He's
it.
not going to be kept.
If
I
Rico
don't
wants
know
to
that.
keep Howie, he can keep Howie.
This is Rico we're talking
You
about.
know who I'm keeping.
He might keep me. We're very good friends.
All right, we'll see. I have a guess of who Rico's keeping, but we'll see. All
Do
right,
you?
Rico's
Because
team
I
is
don't even know my team. I'm going to do a live unveiling to myself of my team.
He doesn't even open the document yet. He's going to find out who.
I opened it, but I didn't look at it because,
While you open it and look at your team and analyze things, I'm going to briefly discuss 2 new rules this year. One, we originally had a no drafting Ron Paul and Rand Paul rule in the original draft. That rule is out the window, and that does give a potential advantage to both JB and Howie, who could draft either of them if they wanted to. However, I think the fact that we all get the first pick of people to keep before they even got to draft, that seems fair to me. And plus, they may or may not actually select them, since we're all releasing a bunch of great libertarians into the pool right now, and they're only doing 2 rounds today. So just toss that out there. The second rule is a rule that we put up for a vote on the Lions of Liberty Pride. Of course, if you support us on Patreon for $5 or higher, you're in the Pride, and you can be in that Facebook group, participate in polls like this. But this is known as the RICO rule, a new rule this year, that every single draft pick must be for one human being and one human being only. Last year, Rico got around this rule, or it wasn't a rule yet, but he was able to draft Trey Parker and Matt Stone as one.
2 years ago, right?
Yeah, for the original. Then also, and then the Koch brothers as one as well.
That was also how the Cleveland Browns were able to draft every single person coming out of Alabama this year in the NFL, citing the RICO rule.
They drafted them as 2.
I wasn't aware that draft happened, but okay.
I didn't hear that story, but basically, there's a couple things we have to clear up before Rico drafts. Several items, as a matter of fact.
What? Can I ask why people voted again for this rule? It's dumb.
Post in the forum and ask.
I can't post. I
have a secret identity. I can't post. That's what you
I
get.
know they do, but I just don't want to. I don't go on Facebook, though. I don't want to have to.
Anyway, I think it's perfectly fair because in real drafts, you draft one human being, not 2. So we have to first address the keeper aspect of this. I'm going to say you could still keep anyone you drafted, including Trey Parker, Matt Stone, or a Koch brother, but you can only keep one out of them. So if you could keep Trey Parker, but you can't keep Matt Stone.
I don't even know which one's which.
And you could keep Charles Koch, but not David Koch.
Can we pause the podcast?
It's easy, Rico. Just keep me. Just keep me.
I need to watch basketball and see who I find funnier.
Well, hey,
They
South
did-
Park became a progressive shill of a show anyway. So
You guys record degenerate
I want to
gamers
give
and then-
basketball a fucking applause for using a "My Life with Dilko Cult" song in their movie. So
I'm sure,
awesome.
Trey Parker and Matt Stone will write you a nice thank you note for
Howie, go on Nick McCone's show on
on
Sounds Like
album.
Liberty and then talk about that. Has no place here.
Totally forgot Rico drafted Kim.com. That's amazing.
Why are you revealing my picks to me?
Right.
I'm going to draft Julian Assange. Fuck you, buddy.
The other thing, are you still TBD? Have you come up with an actual team name? Or are you still...
We're still
undecided.
I hope
Cheers.
not,
Oh,
because
shit.
I
Do
just
you
realized I
need
don't
to
have
tonight?
one, and all the ones
You
I've
don't
been
need to
thinking
do
of
anything.
thus far are terrible.
Well,
No.
it can't be TBD,
It can't be
so you're gonna have to think of something. TBD's taken.
All right.
TBD
38
2 and
left. 38 left. That's my team name. 38 left.
Okay.
38 to the left.
That's it, right?
38 to the
38
left.
to the left. It's an old.
Well,
What's
it's
that?
just
What's that
gonna
in
be-
reference to?
It's more
I
succinct
don't.
to be
What?
38 left.
Whatever you want to be. It's your team.
All right.
We'll tell that story in the bonus segment. How about that?
All right. Well, should I unveil my team to
Yes.
you and me?
You
And
should reveal it to everybody at once.
okay.
Wait. I can't have left in the name of my
Is it
team,
less than
though.
20 minutes since we made that bet? Because Howie's definitely in the annoying.
Yeah, it is. I told you. All right.
All right.
So
Don't make me
round
be-
one, I took Trey Parker and Matt Stone as my media moguls. Round two, Adam Carolla as a podcaster. Round three,
How was around 3?
We've yet to get a libertarian in yet.
Howie Snowden as my VP candidate.
There's a libertarian. Woo!
Finally.
We've got
Peter's-
bad news.
Best pick yet.
All
Like
right.
the president gets taken out, the plane crashes, and Howie's up. I'm ready to take over the country. Let me just snort a coke to sober up, and I'm ready to run.
Rico, you have to let me go or I'll have a conflict of interest in my
no.
team to win or your team to win. Jesus.
Hmm. All right. Round four, Peter Schiff as my YouTube star. Is he on YouTube? Anyone know?
He lost so much money for me. Fuck him.
Okay.
I mean, he has that viral video from when he went to,
Peter Schiff was right. It's a good one.
with the Wall Street.
should be
when they were
called-
protesting.
Well,
That's
now,
what
like
we call a broken
2008, though?
clock is right twice.
I mean, he says it's going to crash every single day. So eventually.
That's true.
Yeah.
He's going to be right eventually.
Yeah.
We all know it will, but it's not going to be tomorrow.
Well, one day it'll be tomorrow, and that one day it'll be right. All right. Round five, Dwayne The Rock Johnson as my presidential candidate.
Back to no more libertarians. Okay.
Round six, Lauren Southern.
Who you didn't actually draft. You drafted, I believe, this Liz Wall chick.
Oh,
and
yeah.
we let you switch her out afterwards because
How about she is a socialist?
yeah, because she's
You
like
should have
she's
taken,
like a
you
Russian
taken
only.
Laura Loomer instead, dude.
Um,
You should take Laura Loomer instead.
What?
You should take Laura
Oh,
Loomer.
I couldn't understand your slurs. Now I get it. Okay, cool. Round.
Okay, go ahead. I have to. There's one more thing we have to clarify.
Howie's
with your
avoided a
team.
lot of
Go
hate
ahead.
crime legislation because people couldn't understand his slurs.
Round seven, the Koch brothers.
Ha ha.
Round eight, I got Kim.com as my chief hacker.
This made up position of chief hacker.
Hacker in chief.
Whose
Round-
goddamn phone is dinging?
That's mine.
Seriously. God damn, Rico, you're the worst at all
I've been
time.
podcasting for 4 years, still doesn't turn off notifications. Go ahead.
Round nine, Daniel McAdams as my political something. Just says political.
I think that's your first legitimate libertarian.
Round 10, Thomas DiLorenzo as my education secretary.
That
And I have an injured reserve.
Yeah, you're back.
Odie, you say he was his first legitimate libertarian. I was like number 3. What the fuck are you talking about? Are you saying I'm not a legitimate
I
libertarian?
wasn't counting you.
We're
Of
just
course
saying you're illegitimate as a person.
Howie is the original libertarian, more so than Bill Webb.
I was talking about the celebrities, Howie.
You may
All
be illegitimate. We're not sure about that.
Oh,
but
I don't know his.
No, I'm sure I've done a lot of shit. I have.
you know,
I have
That's not what
Peter
illegitimate means.
Schiff is
Never mind.
So Yeah.
Okay,
Peter
so
Schiff and Howie are legit.
I have an injured reserve, Ben Swan.
Now,
Who was back in the game?
we're going to pause things right here because I listened to last year's draft and we all made this agreement. You could put him on injured reserve and replace him because we hadn't heard from him in a year. But we said if there's proof of life, which there is because we all saw him in person at PorkFest, then you had to put him back on your roster and remove someone else. So it might not matter.
Oh, okay.
I retweeted Ben Swan today.
Congratulations, Howie.
All right, I'm good.
5 stars for you.
This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to kill 2 birds with 1 stone right here. And it's genius. I'm going to replace Ben Swan with my 10th round pick, Thomas DiLorenzo.
Well, where did you originally draft Ben Swan? Because I think it's only fair.
We're just going to say 10th round.
No, I'm going to look it up right now. I'm going to look it up.
How? You don't have that kind of technology.
Yes, I do.
We have the documents.
We have the documents. I have the first ever Liberty draft with the results. So,
But Ben Swan is out. You need to think of when Rico picked me to replace
Rico.
Ben.
Okay, from the original Liberty draft in 2016, Rico drafted Ben Swan with the 5th round pick. So you would have to keep him in the 5th round. I think that's only.
But he probably picked me to replace Ben Swan later than that.
I think he did actually. I think you did
Yeah,
replace
I
Ben.
definitely didn't pick Howie in the 3rd round.
Oh,
Yeah,
that was in the redraft. Oh yeah, that's right. That's true.
Yeah, that's right. So giving up Ben Swan is just like giving up me. I don't know.
Well, I still think you should have to put him in the 5th round though, because that's when you where you drafted him originally.
Well, what is Howie? What round pick is Howie?
Well, we have him in the 3rd, but I think that's because he was a replacement for someone. He wasn't really drafted in the 3rd round.
No, definitely not.
Hey, how many Pride listeners think my first pick will be myself?
Your original 3rd round pick. Here's what happened. Your original 3rd round pick was Judd Weiss. You dropped him, and I just put Howie in the open spot.
It's a waiver
But
pick.
Howie's really more of like a later.
Judd Weiss in the 3rd round pick. I love Judd and all.
That was right after his. Yeah, Howie's.
I'm more libertarian than Judd Weiss.
Howie
Like,
can
he was
be a 10th
VP at the
rounder.
time.
So I don't want to make things easy on anyone. So
I don't think you can keep Howie. I think that has to be ruled.
No. He could keep me if he
But
wants.
he has to
think
drop
so?
Ben Swan to keep him.
It creates a conflict of interest with
Why
me.
do I-
but that's people like to
Okay,
see
Well,
that.
then we
kind
have
of-
to discuss something else. Can we all draft each other then? Because that's the only. Either we can
I
all
think
draft
I
each
should
other.
be
Or none of us.
grandfathered in because
I think that that's fine because I won't draft any of you.
Why?
I'd
We're the
say
best
yes.
libertarians.
I'd say you can draft other. I'd say
Yeah, you could draft
each other.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not going to
You
draft.
can draft
him.
anyone. Let freedom reign. You can draft anyone you
I'm going
want.
to draft all.
I'm not going to draft. I won't draft any of you.
My next
Rico's
one.
going to draft
status-
Lawrence and own the podcast. This is how he takes control.
All right, Rico, you can keep Howie if you want,
All
but you
right,
have to
well,
keep.
I am keeping Howie because I want to incorporate his team into my team. So if he has good
Shit, I might
picks,
try to tank my team then. Jesus.
yeah. Well, okay.
So I'm going to rule by executive decree that Howie can be kept as an 8th through 10th rounder because that's where
Well, if we wanted to get rid of the rigging, we haven't done it.
No, you're the rigger. Fuck you, Odie. God damn it.
What's more fair then?
Rigging the draft hasn't helped me at all since I usually get like a half a vote. As
Well, he wasn't.
I don't
drafted.
know. Rico, did you really keep me?
Yes, I just did. Well, look at my team. What
Fair
am I going
enough.
to keep? I have a lot of options here.
That's
8th
true.
round
You
is the
didn't
highest
have-
pick that
you
Howie
didn't
could
have
be.
me.
I would
Like,
keep.
I was like the actual
Corolla,
only
man.
real
Not as a
libertarian you
second
had
rounder.
on your team.
I would keep Charles Koch. That's who I would keep.
Or Danny McAdams.
Trey Parker, Matt Stone.
The
I
ninth
still
round.
think they're funny, but they're not really libertarian.
I love
first
you,
round.
Rico. I
Not
love
first
you,
round,
brother.
Thanks, man. Adam Carolla. I haven't listened to him. I'm sure he's
You're deciding live. I love it.
yeah,
He's still pretty libertarian.
yeah, but I think
Not as much as Howie
Hey,
Snowden.
Ben Swan in the 5th could be a good one. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not
Peter
bad.
Schiff. I don't know.
I don't know. Danny
He
McAdams
lost
in the
me
9th.
so
I think
much
is still the
money.
best move.
Did Peter Schiff ever lose you money, Howie?
Maybe like thousands of dollars. Yeah.
Oh, you should.
You
Who's
lost
lost
me
me a lot of
thousands
money?
of dollars in
You lost it, you
fucking
sold it.
crypto investments, Howie. You son of a bitch. So shut up.
I never told you to do anything, buddy. And if you only lost money, if you sold.
this surefire.
If you hold-
$75 each. I
don't think it'll ever stop making me laugh.
That's how it went down.
I'm trading Howie Snowden for Howie Snowden's impressions.
Fuck you. Me around earlier than you took a real Howie.
Shows off.
Yeah, really.
Not only at Liberty.
And you guys thought we could do a whole draft today. Is the funny part.
Um,
I would say Howie Snowden as Brian McWilliams as Howie Snowden. That's a good thing.
I'm going to make your team a winner.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Still deciding.
gosh.
This is great.
I just want him in movies forever and ever and ever.
Yeah, it could distract from his movie career. So that
I
could
want to
hurt.
hug his movie. It's like Skyscraper. Am I the only one who watched
Is that the
Can we
monster
talk about
movie?
that for
I
5
might
hours?
watch it tonight once you guys.
That's the Jenner Gambler's talk.
I'm flying down with it right now.
Have you
No,
guys seen the new Baywatch? I just saw it.
I've seen it 12 times.
It's awesome. It's really good.
Zach
He's a
Efron
good
is actually
actor.
very funny in that.
Very good.
Oh, he's a good actor.
solid
I like
movie.
him.
He's funny, man.
Okay.
He's not just a hot
I
body,
like
guys. He's a good actor.
Neighbors, Baywatch. Zac Efron might be my first round pick.
Yeah, I was just gonna say
Who's
that
that
this
movie with
movement
Seth
really
Rogen,
needs some
alright?
abs.
We need a body.
Really
we need
does.
JB,
Yeah.
you're too close to your microphone.
You're not getting me
Ab
here.
City.
All
Ab
right.
City.
So the rest,
You're out.
yeah, Lauren Southern, I don't know who she is. Koch brothers, probably not libertarian, though I think it was a good strategy.
They are
And
libertarians.
the rest of them. So I'm gonna keep Howie and Ben Swan.
All right. So Howie's going to be your 8th rounder.
Beauty and the Beast.
And
Ben Swan's hair is as gray as Howie's
I'm
beard.
the beauty, right?
Now,
Sure,
just to keep in mind, you can switch all the positions. These are just humans you're keeping. You can switch the positions at the end of the draft when we finally get through all these rounds again. So you got Dwayne Johnson. Oh, no, I'm sorry. You got Ben Swan in the 5th, Howie Snowden in the 6th. All
I thought
right.
you said 8th through 10th.
Do we get to draft one ghost, kind
Yeah,
of
I
like
put him in the
Christopher,
8th.
And I
Oh.
please draft
Yeah.
Oh, I thought
somebody.
you said 6. And I'm counting on Howie to start his Page Tales
what?
podcast. So
I will do
Oh,
that
right.
for you.
yeah, so you can finally get a Lions of Liberty email address.
So I have 2 ways to win: through my own team or through your team. Either way.
There you go.
No,
Double-
you don't. You have one way to win. Through your
By
team.
the way, can we draft one ghost like Christopher Lloyd?
I was
and
actually
Angels in
going to
the Outfield
suggest
help
that
out
we
people?
we
Liberty Ghost,
create a position for someone
we'll
who's
put
been
that
dead
idea.
for like
I like
50 plus years.
right? I like that.
I mean,
Fun.
we can have the president on it.
Libertarianism is only 50 years old, so
We can make that.
That's
We
not
can make that a whole
necessarily true.
episode. That'd be the ghost episode.
I
Okay.
like it.
Come
For
on,
next
come on.
Halloween.
Let's get to where me and JB get to pick.
Well,
Come on.
we're there.
This
We're there
is
right
it.
now.
Why weren't you guys in the original drafts?
Because we were racist and
JB
Howie,
was
Those
JB
things
was
are
Could you
late.
both
Howie was
probably
Black
accurate.
people
we were racist
and
against
Irish
JB and
people? Apparently, you hate black people and Irish people.
yeah, I do.
Well,
Well, how's McWilliams in the draft? Or is McWilliams
black
not in
and
there?
Irish.
I'm
probably
Irish too. I'm
Scottish or
99%.
something.
Different.
And
If you're
I'm
both,
Irish.
you get in.
Brian has a disability. He's obviously bald. So
All right.
That's
So
true.
this next portion will be the supplemental draft. Since we got to keep 2 people each, JB and Howie can now choose from the rest of the universe of human beings that have not been drafted. But first, to determine the order, it's going to be a snake draft.
Rock, scissors,
We got to do a live rocks, paper, scissors contest. So,
Wait, these guys don't get to pick first? Oh,
Exactly.
between the two
yes,
of
they
them.
do. Between the 2 of them,
Gotcha.
yes.
Gotcha.
We're done. We have no more selections this episode. We're just going to get all on even footing and have 2 players each going into the next rounds. So, Howie is ready. He's got his fists pumped.
I'm ready.
JB,
Let's
are you
go.
ready to play?
Woo!
Because when I say rocks, paper,
All right.
scissors, shoot,
Can
you
you
both
do
are going to
that?
throw down, and I'm
Paper?
going to visually see what you guys throw down. And we're going to do best 2 out of 3.
All right, I'm ready.
Yeah, but that's not real. That's
Yeah.
just okay. So it'll be best 2 out of 3. So
That was it? I
First
thought that was a
round,
warm-up.
rocks, paper, scissors, shoot.
Well, I can't see anybody's
Nope,
hand.
that was
so.
not a warm up. That was a thing.
Why do we? This
I
is a
did
bad
think
idea. Why don't you have them guess closest number to what you're thinking?
No, there's no bad ideas in baseball.
This
Whatever.
is
Let's just play
like
this.
4-year-olds doing
Let's
pop.
do it. You
paper,
get
rock,
one
scissors,
more
man.
time. You
Okay,
got it.
whatever.
How bad they are at it is why it's funny.
Yeah, that's
Rocks, paper, scissors, shoot.
I know the rules,
Two
okay?
papers, so we'll go
JB,
again.
have you ever played the game before?
No, actually, I can't see Howie.
JB
all right?
just watched
I
Howie
can
put
only
down a
see,
rock.
Like, you know how it
Did a
doesn't show
paper,
everyone.
Then Howie
was a paper.
Yeah,
He
on the
does-
top
he
of
has
this
What
What
happened? Did I win? Did I win? I
Like-
threw paper. Did
No,
I
we were-
win?
you
No,
both-
you
I saw-
threw a rock and JB had paper after you threw a rock, and then you.
This is
I saw 2
ridiculous.
papers the whole time.
It was 2 papers.
No,
It was 2
rewind
papers.
the footage.
Official ruling. It
I
was 2
threw
papers.
paper.
We're gonna go
Reasonable.
again. Round 1.
In the spirit
Stop
of
fucking
affirmative
around.
action, can we just let JB go first?
No. Rocks, paper, scissors, shoot. Go. I
All
saw
right, JB wins.
Scissors, cuts
scissors
paper.
versus Howie's paper. JB has won. All right, it's best 2 out of 3. Ready? Ready?
Oh, God.
Rocks, paper, scissors,
Got it.
shoot.
I knew he would do
You got another
that.
paper from Howie.
It's
Another
too dark
scissors
to think of
from JB.
something else.
Double scissoring. Double scissoring. So JB, you can now choose because you can make an argument for either one being better. Because it's just two of you in a snake draft, you might want to go first and get the first pick of whoever else is out there, and then you would get the fourth. But you might want to go second and get 2 picks in a row.
Well,
so that's up to you. Since you won, I will let you decide. No, there's not so many. There's 2 options.
No, I'm just well, the option is I'm going to go first, of course. I won, so I get to go first.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go.
I have to pick Ron Paul. Like, I feel like if I don't, like, I've shamed my household.
Yeah, exactly.
Now
I
that
just
he's
wanna
free
tell
and I have
everyone-
literally the first pick in the draft, I have to take him. And I don't think there's any. Can anyone tell me
You got to take him.
that's my pick?
It would be hard to resist. It would be very hard to resist. I will say.
I would have picked Ron Paul.
No, you got to take him.
Oh, by the way, did you come up with a team name in the last 10 minutes?
Is it my turn now?
Not
Is
that I
my
hope it
turn now?
happens.
Yes, but
it
one
would kinda
second.
be
JB,
funny
did you
if
come up
Ron
with a
Paul
team
died
name yet?
tomorrow morning.
No, I was leaning towards Bastiat's bitches, but that was only because I had
I like
nothing
it.
else. And I was like, that's probably
that's
not
what it is
appropriate.
until you come up with something else. Nope, your boss has bitches now.
I like it.
Until you come up with
No,
something
that's
else.
the only thing that was been circulating around my head, so I couldn't think of anything
Well,
better.
Now that's your name. Just like Rico became Rico, you became Bastiat's bitches, just like that. All right, now that 38 left, the story of which we'll tell in the bonus show for Patreon members only, lionsofliberty.com. I mean, patreon.com/Lions of Liberty. Howie, you finally get to make a pick after all these years of anticipation. You get to make 2 picks in the Liberty draft. Let's hear them.
Oh, do I get to make 2 picks in a row?
Yep, it's a snake draft. So it goes JB, then you get the second and third pick, and he gets the fourth, which I've explained several times in email and just now 2 minutes ago.
It's funny. JB just picked Ron Paul. That is not who I would have picked.
So it is. So JB could have potentially waited.
Well, so pick who you would pick then.
Right now,
It's
it's
your
my
turn.
turn.
That's how this works.
It's right now. It's my turn, and I am picking Scott Horton because you know why?
That was I didn't think that was gonna be my second pick. That was gonna be my second pick.
Why? You know why? Because
Should have
the
kept him. I should have
Libertarian
kept
candidate for president will not become president. I want the person that is the most principled and can stand up in debates and do the most arguments and fucking win it for not only besides the whole fact that he's a fucking skater and skateboard still. He's the largest contingent of non-voting voters are the youth. And fucking
Does he really still
we
hurt
can
skateboarders?
have
No one's
Scott
skateboards.
Horton fucking
No, Scott Horton
like an ass to drop in, just skate around, fucking talk to people. Scott Horton is my.
I can't wait till
secret weapon.
he's on a debate
He's
stage
my
debating
number
you
one.
for the same nomination. And you're like, well, Scott, I do think that you got a good point, but I'm the opponent, so whatever.
No, he knows way more than me. I would always defer to him. Always.
Your answer would be, every question would be, I defer to what Scott Horton thinks.
Pretty much, my brother. So yes, I was very worried that Odie wouldn't drop him.
All right, Howie.
He wasn't going to at first. Then he did. I'm like, yes, I got the best person that if we as
What a
libertarians
rich
have to
and
realize
interesting
we're
story.
not gonna win, but we can educate people. We can change the culture. We can slowly change things. Who best to fucking talk to people? Who best to change the culture?
Then this
Who
hippie
best-
stoner
Then
screamer.
Howie Snow.
Scott Horton for president.
Podcast for
I'm in.
TBD.
Scott Horton for president. Let's draft him.
No, just
We all get to make a speech
Next,
after every
do
pick.
I get my second pick now?
you do.
Dave Smith.
Oh, brutal.
Wow. I did not see that one coming.
It was really tough to let him go. I gotta say, I thought I had great value on him.
Odie?
I mean, I love Dave Smith. I didn't think he was going to be this early, but I guess
Who didn't? Who
there's just
didn't?
a lot of
think
people
that
on the
Howie-
board. I mean, there's a lot of people to choose from.
You know, he's got a lot of weight when it comes to voting. People will see the name and.
Like, come on. Of course, I would pick Dave Smith. Come on.
All right, well, Dave Smith told me personally.
now
he
he
hates
texted
it.
me.
No,
It was the
I'm
bonus.
Go,
fucking I'm like spiraling out of control now. I didn't expect him to pick Horton. I thought that was in
Spiraling.
the bag. I didn't even think about anybody else because I didn't expect that to be. Well,
Wow.
okay. Well, you know what? I did think of someone. He might seem like he's coming up a little high, but I think I'm going to take Joe Rogan.
What?
Joe
Whoa.
Rogan.
No, I'm going to take Joe Rogan for my second.
Even your
supplemental.
microphone
Joe
disapproves of
Rogan, who
that
I
pick.
recently heard like advocating like universal something or other.
But the thing is,
Ah,
well, I'll tell you why.
He wanted.
JB's
and
taking
his
my
big fan of
position
status
as the least
education.
educated libertarian.
I'll tell you why.
Good
Well,
job.
now I'm on the
Thanks, JB.
spot. You know,
Let the man make his argument.
I'll tell
let
you
him
why.
talk. Brian took him too.
I did take it, but I took him in like the 10th round.
I thought about taking him. Come on.
Let JB talk, guys. Come on.
No,
it's way more fun
I
to
did say
interrupt
this
him.
would be controversial pick so high. So I knew you would say this, and you did not disappoint. What? Wow, I'm falling apart here.
Oh God! How many times? What's the over under of JB dropping his?
Well, I
fucking
have a
microphone
new
in
setup
podcast?
here. You know, these things are not. These things aren't. You know. Never mind. What was I saying? One, I knew this pick. I knew this pick would be controversial. And two,
You did it
I did
anyway.
it because I have incredible faith in the men. I think I remember your 100th anniversary podcast, Brian,
Wow.
that we
Are you
need
talking about
a voice,
Brian
we need a figure, we need
you.
someone who can transcend and bring
Heroes.
people. Joe Rogan is almost there. He's right on the precipice. Yeah, he still harbors some progressive, maybe we should say, or
And
fascism.
what
of
better
a
man to bring him the rest of the way than the
Well,
former
he's the
progressive?
closest,
He's talking about
the
Joe
closest,
Rogan. For a
most
second, I
popular,
thought he was
most
talking about Ron
entertaining
Paul.
person I fucking know. That if we can just push him over the precipice, can bring a ton of people with him. And I think that's a powerful thing.
All right, I like.
He is the most influential
You better start a
individual in the
letter writing
world.
campaign.
Do you realize that?
He's one of
Yes.
the most. I mean, I don't
Yeah,
know
I
if
know,
he's
it's
more
crazy.
influential than
No, like
Bigger
from,
than the Kardashians.
He is,
even.
Mark.
excluding like presidents and that type of
Okay.
world leader type of thing.
Joe
Like
Rogan,
if someone who just has
if we
no.
can get Joe Rogan 100% on board, that would do massive good.
Excluding other people who are
I feel like if
more
you could get-
persuasive or more influential than Joe Rogan, he's the most influential.
Who is that?
I hate.
Who are you
Who's
poking?
poking? Rico's poking
Hold
holes.
on.
Poking
Right,
holes in
right,
the argument.
Rico doesn't just say to toss out
Wait,
flippant
now, listen,
comments
listen,
and
listen.
everyone laughs. Who the fuck are you talking about, Rico? Let's hear it. Name
I
names.
was making
Hey,
fun
hold
of
on.
talking
Odie.
about?
Everybody, hey, stop.
I'm making fun of Odie.
Specifically right on the precipice.
Rico was taking a cut at me. It's
Yeah,
okay.
geez,
your team.
JB.
Listen,
a little
hey,
sensitive.
Hey, everybody,
Precipice.
listen. I just to throw things down. I constantly do a lot of things that Joe Rogan says I should do.
He's
I do
he's
it.
the most
He does it, and I do
influential
it.
personality I
Drugs.
think I picked out
I
of
bought
everyone.
on it pills once because of him.
And that is why I picked him.
Well, now I feel bad dropping him.
Does that make
I
sense?
like that I can only
Does-
see.
You
I
don't
can
have to
only see the
agree.
bottom half
You
of
don't have to
JB's
agree,
head.
but
Valid
does it
bet.
make sense? That's all I ever ask.
Sure, it makes sense.
No, it's bad. It makes sense.
Can I
valid,
ask one
valid
question
point.
real quick?
Nope.
Is that who he picked?
Because
Or did you pick Ron Paul? Did you pick Ron Paul or did you pick Joe
picked
I
Rogan?
have two picks.
You
I
have
have
two
Ron
picks.
Paul and
So
Joe
Ron
Rogan.
Paul and
He
Joe
picked the both. He picked
Yeah,
the both.
JB
JB just gave a
Yeah.
very
Oh God damn it! We're fucked. We're fucked.
JB just gave a very impassioned support of Joe Rogan, who he wasn't even gonna pick. Okay.
Why didn't he?
It feels like he had that ready to
Ron Paul.
You guys
What?
understand what happened here?
With that
If
passionate
Vince-
speech, why
Joe
would you like
Rogan-
your first round pick?
Does JB have?
Because
Ron
this is
Paul
how
or
a
does he
draft
not?
works. If I
Yes.
think someone's gonna fall, but I really like them, why pick them early?
Does JB have Ron Paul or does
He
he?
has both.
Oh my
and if
God.
JB can
God,
convince
God,
Joe
God.
Rogan to have Ron Paul on his podcast every episode, then Liberty's going
You
to
know
win.
what?
That's
And
all
if I
say.
win most popular team, I'm gonna do that. Daily
He's got
email
them both.
campaign.
He's got them both.
Yes, Howie. He's got them both.
You might. Yes, Howie. I swear. You guys ever see that Twilight Zone movie where the radio gets so loud it makes somebody's ears bleed and they die? Can we just scream loud enough to
We
make
could.
that happen to Howie?
I thought Howie was trying to do that to
volumes
us.
down.
Fuck you.
All right. Quick redraft keeper recap. We have Make Liberty Great Again has Larry Sharp with taking up the first rounder and Bob Murphy taking up his 9th round pick. We have my team, Hellfire and Liberty. Tom Woods taking my first round slot. Glenn Jacobs taking my 3rd round slot. We have Wake Up Punchy led by Brian taking Kennedy in the 3rd round spot and Judge Andrew Napolitano in the 6th round. Like that value there. And then we have TBD starring Rico, coached by Rico, managed by Rico. Ben Swan with the 5th round. Howie fucking Snowden with the 8th round pick. And then we have the supplemental draft, which will not take up their 1st and 2nd round draft picks because that wouldn't be fair. They'll get to still do 1st and 2nd rounders. But we have Howie keeping Scott Horton, or not keeping, but taking Scott Horton and Dave Smith and Bastiat Bishop for now. JB's team.
No, I think I'm
I
gonna
like that
keep. I'm gonna keep Bastiat.
I think you should stick with
I
it.
think
Yeah,
I'm gonna
it's
keep
good.
that.
Definitely.
I just wanted you guys to understand
Ron
that
Paul and Joe Rogan. Boom.
JB and Howie have a huge jump start here with that getting first round picks.
Oh, yeah.
That's we're handicapped big time.
True, but they're handicapped by
Shut
not
up,
having the chance
Odie.
to keep any of those.
I would just like to point out that I took Trey Parker and Matt Stone with my first round pick a while back.
I only took your leftovers. But how about this? Rico has me as a pick. I'm gonna fight for Rico's team.
Thanks, Howie. That didn't work last year, but I'm sure it'll.
No, I tried to find. I tried to have all my votes go to Rico's team.
That only made people
Just
see
the
through
the
you.
apple
Rico-
cart. It didn't work.
But fucking Odie, like
Mark sold
Spoiled the whole
Lions
thing.
of Liberty to Chris Spangle for votes.
Well, this year the voting will only take place for paid members of the Lions of Liberty Pride. In the
actually,
Facebook group,
gentlemen,
I'm going to purge anyone before any votes that is not paid up and is not current.
gentlemen, my first pick
Pay to
as
play.
a joke was gonna be
Pay to
Chris
play.
Spangle, but I was afraid you'd be like, you have to stick with it. No, it's Chris Spangle.
Is that an official pick, Chris Spangle? You want to replace? I'll replace it. Right
No, 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 no,
All
no,
right,
no,
I'm
no.
removing Scott Horton and putting Chris Spangle
Fuck you.
for Howie. There you go. And Chris Spangle is officially your first pick.
Howie's
He's gonna be in a position of
Cat
best friend
Agnos.
forever.
Cat Agnos to Chris Spangle.
As one pick. Them you can draft as one pick. That's fine.
They're gonna walk around Pork Fest next year holding hands the whole time.
All right, folks. Got any other thoughts here, or should we just dive into the bonus segment? What do you guys think?
Well, I want to just ask,
Yeah.
Bonus
who's
segment.
the first? Who gets the first pick of the actual draft?
So when we go back to the regular draft,
Yeah,
which
that's
will
what I was
all
wondering.
start us off with these picks set in stone, we'll re-randomize the order. I think before then is fair.
Oh, I thought I got the first pick.
Well, then where would we put
Nope.
Howie and JB? Is the question. I think.
After who cares?
Yeah, you
After
got to
me.
I
re-randomize
think we
it.
got to re-randomize.
No.
I think that's the
It's
fairest.
all
way to do it.
re-randomized.
Re-randomize. That's a good word.
All right, so that will pick up. I don't want to say next time we do this in a month because we're going to be doing the Naughty or Nice special and a New Year's special. So I don't know if we'll fit more drafting into those, but if not, we'll pick it up. I'd say towards the end of January. So we all have some time to really stew on things, to think about our teams, and put some deep thought. Consult with our team members, with the people we kept. You know, JB or Rico and Howie can have a secret strategy session. Talk about how this weird situation is going to work. And that's about it. So any other thoughts before I?
In the meantime, I got to leave a bunch more voicemails using Howie's voice on Dave Smith's answering machine.
My name is Brian. I pretend to be an actor. I pretend that I could do like voices and shit, but I can't really.
All
I
right.
just do this.
Bye, Howie.
Burn.
This sounds like a good time to jump off
That
the show.
was me.
By the way,
That was
by the
me
way,
right now.
everybody at home, if you are not supporting us on Patreon, there are so many great reasons to do so, including the fact that you can see the ridiculous video of this whole show, completely unedited, $10 a month and up. Patrons can see that. Everybody 5 and up can get all of our exclusive audio content. In the next couple of weeks, we're going to have a new League of Liberty with Chris Spangle, Roger Paxton, Johnny Adams. We're going to have a new conspiracy corner, looking into the Federal Reserve. I don't know what you're booing. More of
I'm booing League of Liberty.
Oh, you know what? By the way, I'm announcing
you're
this
booing
right
your
now.
own bonus
This
content
is
on a
an
show you
idea.
host.
Doing it. I came up with this idea before. We need to start the show that I wanted to do, which is there's the League of Liberty.
League of Liberty
and then
Snicket.
We need to have
Christ, yeah.
Liberty Snicket. Then we need to have our counter
Right.
league. We need to have
Quit
like
talking
a
and do the
separate
action.
show
You've been
with the
talking about it for a
with the
year.
good people,
Get off your
the
damn
funny
t-shirt and
people,
start your other show. I'm not going to
interesting
start it
people.
for
Odie.
I already
boo.
need other shows.
And afterwards.
Boo-hoo. I host a million shows. All right. So those will all be coming. And we will continue the Liberty Draft in the coming months. And you can only vote on the draft at the end of the day for being a Patreon. So one of many, many reasons, including the hot sauce challenge that I did last week, which I'm still feeling the effects from. I ate many, many hot sauces in a live stream while Brian made jokes and occasionally jumped into the room and ate some hot sauce himself. And it was a very, very ridiculous experiment. That is available for everyone, every patron. So go ahead, join the Pride, check things out. You can actually get a free preview, basically, if you sign up at any point in the month. And if you want to cancel before the end of the month, you will never get charged. So that is a secret reveal I'm giving you all right now. If you just want to try it out, dip your toe in the water, I'm very confident that you will love all the content that we do over there on Patreon. So patreon.com/Lions of Liberty, which is also where you can hear the bonus of the show. Till next time, gentlemen, are you ready to sign off with me? Until next time, folks. Live long and live free.